Say lasagna.
Banana.
Who are you, Oakley?
Mama Patton.
What you doing, Oakley?
Huh?
You blow me kisses.
Oink.
Continuing coverage now on the disappearance of Oakley Carlson out of Oakville.
She was kept locked in a cell under stairs at their home.
Establishing a timeline of when Oakley was last seen alive so far, the most recent date is January 27th.
Asking now for 2 years as we recognize the time that has passed since anyone saw Oakley Carlson alive.
Jessica Swift is a respected figure in the Oakville, Washington community. She's the principal of the local elementary school, a caring mother, and always ready to help others. On November 10th, 2021, Jessica had visited the home of Andrew Carlson and Jordan Bowers, two local residents who had recently suffered from a house fire, to deliver them some much-needed supplies. While Jessica stood in the doorway chatting with Jordan and Andrew, she noticed something was off. While watching 3 of Jordan's children run around and play in the background, their 4th child, Oakley Carlson, seemed to be missing. Jessica had even brought this up, asking about Oakley's whereabouts, but Jordan responded saying she was up in her room and left it at that. Several weeks later, on November 24th, 2021, Jessica made another quick stop by the Carlson residence and made a similar observation. Oakley was nowhere to be seen. This caused Jessica to become very worried over the young girl's whereabouts, because behind closed doors, Jordan and Andrew have a very dark history. Jordan Bowers is a convicted felon with a history of theft and drug charges. She was also known for her hardcore gambling addiction. Her husband, Andrew Carlson, was decommissioned as a police officer in another Washington town for making false and misleading statements. The pair both have had many run-ins with the law due to their substance abuse issues and explosive domestic disputes. They also have quite a history when it comes to the Washington State Department of Children, Youth, and Families, or DCYF, especially when it came to their daughter, Oakley.
Jamie Jo telling the Spotlight she and her husband instantly fell in love with a little girl with the precious smile.
She just had such a good impact, and it was such a good learning experience. Things that maybe I didn't think would be difficult were really difficult, but the memories and the joy that she brought us was just it's immeasurable.
This is Eric and Jamie Jo Hiles. They became Oakley's foster parents on September 22nd, 2017, after Oakley was removed from Jordan and Andrew's care. On July 30th, 2018, roughly 10 months after losing Oakley to Child Protective Services, Andrew Carlson was arrested and booked for assault after attacking Jordan during a domestic dispute. Also around this time, the Hiles family were completely in love with Oakley and were pushing for adoption. But the state of Washington and DCYF had other ideas. On March 7th, 2019, Andrew and Jordan had a supervised visit with Oakley. When Oakley later returned to the Hiles family, they noticed that not only was her diaper never changed once during the entire 2-hour visit, but she also had red scratches on her face. When Jamie Jo asked the caseworker present during the visit about the scratches, she stated that she had no idea where they came from. Jamie Jo then reached out to her DCYF assigned caseworker about the incident, to which she responded, "I'm on vacation next week."
When Oakley would come home from a visit and say that she saw somebody hit somebody between their parents, and they felt no concerns, that's a real concern to me. That's a really big concern to me, and I felt like it was just kind of brushed off.
Look, time to take a phone from me.
Oh, and so... and he took his phone from you?
Yeah.
Did you have Andrew's phone?
Yeah. I was watching Coco Melon.
Okay.
And Andrew took it.
And then
Okay.
what happened?
And Jordan put him back in his bed.
And then Jordan put Andrew back in his bed?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did she hit him, Oakley?
Yeah, him dead, like, really hard, like,
Jordan.
Or why did she hit him?
cause him was being mean.
Why was he being mean?
Like, whoa!
The Hiles family fought like hell to protect the young girl they now saw as their own daughter. But nothing would deter the DCYF from pursuing unification. DCYF even turned a blind eye to a letter stating Andrew failed out of his court-mandated domestic violence treatment program. On November 29th, 2019, the Hiles family handed Oakley over to the custody of Andrew Carlson and Jordan Bowers. And it would also be the last time either of them would see the little girl they love so much ever again. Principal Jessica Swift was growing frustrated when it came to checking on Oakley's well-being. Since Jordan and Andrew refused to be honest with her about their daughter's whereabouts, it was time for a new approach. And Jessica thought of someone who just might have something to say. On December 4th, 2021, Oakley's sister was dropped off at Jessica's house to have a playdate and sleepover with Jessica's daughter. At some point that evening, Jessica had sat Oakley's sister down on the couch and asked her the burning question, "Where is Oakley?" The little girl's answer was startling. She started to cry as soon as she heard her sister's name. And she became so upset that she even began to physically shake. All the young girl could manage to say was, "Oakley is no more." The following morning, Jessica posed the same question to Oakley's sister, who, this time, responded that Oakley had gone away and was placed back in foster care. However, Jessica remained skeptical of this new assertion and decided to contact the local county sheriff's office. At her request, the sheriff's office obtained Oakley's DCYF records, which confirmed that Oakley had not been in foster care since November of 2019, just over 2 years prior. Armed with this newfound information, Jessica Swift requested a welfare check be done on Oakley. At around 10 a.m. on the morning of December 6th, the sheriff's office arrived at a hotel in Tumwater, Washington, where the Carlson family had been staying. Jordan answered the door, and when the officers inquired about Oakley's whereabouts, she stated that Oakley was with her mother, which left police officers puzzled, because she was Oakley's mother. Upon further questioning, Jordan changed her response, claiming that Oakley was with her foster parents, to which officers pointed out that they already knew this information was false. Jordan then summoned Andrew over, who then told police that Oakley was with her grandparents. When asked for the grandparents' contact information, Andrew initially claimed he had no idea about their address or phone number. They engaged in a back-and-forth exchange until Andrew reluctantly provided the phone number, after which he refused to divulge any further details and closed the door on the officers. Given it was only a welfare check, there wasn't much else the police could do besides follow the next lead. They proceeded to get in contact with Fred Carlson, Oakley's grandfather. When investigators told Fred what was going on, he grew quiet before sharing some heartbreaking information. The previous Christmas, Fred and his wife got together with Andrew, Jordan, and the grandkids. During this visit, Fred noticed Oakley was in terrible condition. She was described as having dark circles under her eyes, pale skin, scratches and sores on her face, and in a very sickly state. Seeing Oakley in this state started a massive argument, with Andrew and Jordan permanently breaking contact with Fred and his wife. They had not heard from or seen Oakley since this incident almost a year prior. Just as the sheriff's office was finishing up interviewing Fred Carlson, they received some very bizarre news. Shortly after leaving Andrew and Jordan at the hotel, the pair fled the hotel with their youngest child, returning to their home in Oakville. And around 3:30 p.m. that day, Andrew had contacted a non-emergency line to report Oakley missing, saying they hadn't seen her in about a week. The sheriff's office immediately responded to this new information, arriving in force at Andrew's home in Oakville. By the time police arrived, a search warrant had been approved, and law enforcement entered the home and began to search for Oakley. The home was still heavily damaged from the fire a month prior, but was still in relatively okay condition. Law enforcement could find clothes and toys that obviously belonged to the other 3 children, but no personal items of Oakley's could be located. Additionally, blood spatter was discovered on the front door and blinds, as well as a single bloody handprint was discovered, stained onto the wall of the downstairs hallway. This time, when asked about Oakley, he bizarrely didn't stay quiet, and instead got quite angry. During one of his outbursts at the police, he accidentally blurts out, "Oakley is dead, and there will be no reunion." After this insane outburst, Andrew and Jordan are both arrested for suspicion of manslaughter. The 3 remaining children are picked up by Child Protective Services, with the older 2 being brought in for interviews and medical evaluations. The media also begins to pick up wind of the story, and the world begins to hear of this tragedy unfolding in rural Washington.
We are learning disturbing new details about the disappearance of Oakley Carlson. She has not been seen alive since February 2021, when she was just 5 years old.
The likelihood of Oakley being alive is not very good at this point. Parents Jordan Bowers and Andrew Carlson now face a charge of abandonment of a child. Detectives learned the parents failed to give prescribed medication to Oakley's sister, who is only 6 years old, putting her in danger of physical impairment and possibly even death.
The Grays Harbor County Sheriff's Office, Washington State Troopers, and the FBI began a massive ground search of Andrew Carlson's home and property. Cadaver dogs, professional divers, and even helicopters are used in the search. But after 8 days of scouring every inch of the property, the search is officially suspended on December 13th, 2021. Subsequently, due to insufficient evidence, the manslaughter charges against Andrew and Jordan were dropped. However, their legal troubles were far from over. The Grays Harbor County Sheriff's Office announced Bowers and Carlson faced charges of an abandonment of a dependent person in the 2nd degree after investigators discover evidence the parents had not been providing medication prescribed to their other daughter for 15 months. According to investigators, the medication is necessary for the 6-year-old's health, and going without it puts her at risk of physical impairment, which could even result in death. Furthermore, the other children tested positive for methamphetamine exposure, with such high levels in their hair samples that it indicated recent direct consumption of the narcotic within the last several months. These troubling findings resulted in additional charges for Jordan and Andrew.
Of the 11 calls, DCYF said it investigated 8 of them. The calls alleging domestic violence, physical abuse, parental drug use, and medical neglect. The documents also outlined some of the abuse Oakley allegedly endured.
There's a lot of abuse, unfortunately, happening. The cell underneath the stairs.
Siblings said Oakley was kept in a locked cell underneath the stairs and that their mother physically abused Oakley and another sibling.
When you read those reports about the abuse that she suffered, how can you not let your mind think about dark things?
Jordan and Andrew both eventually pled guilty to the endangerment with a controlled substance charges. Jordan was sentenced to 20 months, and on her day of release, was immediately arrested and charged with 3 counts of first-degree identity theft and 1 count of second-degree identity theft. This was for a completely separate investigation involving Jordan stealing money for her gambling and drug addictions. Andrew was sentenced to only 12 months, and as of recording this video in October of 2023, he is a free man.
We were told that we would be getting Oakley back. So
I didn't know that.
yeah, so I got a call while I was at school from DCYF asking if I could take Oakley's younger sibling and if I could take Oakley when they found her. So we went a whole day thinking that Oakley was coming back to us.
The last credible sighting of Oakley Carlson alive was on February 10th, 2021, leaving a 9-month gap between then and when Principal Jessica Swift originally noticed Oakley missing. Something happened during those 9 months that both Jordan and Andrew refused to speak of, assumingly because the consequences of those actions would put them away for the rest of their lives. DCYF also has blood on their hands for allowing abuse to go unpunished and leaving children in the care of people who actively harm them. This case is still being actively investigated, and if you happen to know anything about what may have happened to Oakley Carlson, I'll be leaving contact information for the proper authorities below. Until more evidence is discovered, this case will remain cold, and Oakley Carlson, the girl with the smile, will remain a mystery, waiting to be solved.